For quite some time, we've been hearing that Jack Levin vampire attacked the Hex community and the Hex protocol. I have a question for you.
Y'all want to see a dead body?
Let's go.
Well, guys, I'm pretty disappointed because I thought this was going to be about Pulsechain, Vampire Attack, and why Jack thinks Pulsechain's not going to launch. I'm pretty disappointed in this space.
Hey,
You said this space was going to be, at the beginning of Staker class, said this space was going to be about Jack and Pulsechain and what he thinks about Richard Hart lying about Pulsechain. And I didn't hear any of that. So very disappointing space.
well, we didn't have any good questions. So maybe you can leave.
Why is Richard Hart lying about Pulsechain?
Why is he lying about Pulsechain?
Yes.
Specifically what?
What he's acting like he doesn't know what any of the code is. Why is he doing that?
It is my personal observation that I think he is potentially have abandoned the idea to do it, just because of what I have seen on the conference the other day. He's the questions that were asked, he couldn't really come up with anything that's any sort of roadmap for Pulsechain, which is unfortunate because I have a lot of friends that actually were eagerly waiting for this thing to launch. Why?
Yeah, we all are.
If he's lying about it, I mean, we have no idea whatever can happen to a person's personal life or whether he's lying or not. We just do not know. What we do know is that it isn't coming anytime soon, doesn't appear to be, and it appears to be that he's not interested. Now, we can only speculate why he's not interested. Perhaps he's worried that the Hex price will dump if it launches in a bear market. So that is one speculation. The other speculation could be the SEC now has both Pulse and Hex on the radar, and maybe they have advised them not to do anything until this case is settled, which is also a possibility. So things change.
Did you say it's impossible for him to not know? Like when he was trying to translate the code, do you think it's impossible for him to not know what he was reading?
What he was reading specifically,
like when he was going through the code, like it seemed like he didn't know what the hell he was reading or how to translate it. From my knowledge, if you don't understand something, you can't explain it. So is it impossible?
I watched that and can answer that probably if you don't mind.
I want Jack.
All right. Well,
I think he wants me to answer it. So here's the thing: if you're a project lead for a project, you have to know what's going on, even if you do not understand the code. So the questions that were asked at the conference were not about the code. It was about, just the roadmap. And the roadmap isn't coming. And his body language and what he said told me, and this is my personal opinion, I could be wrong, it told me that he is not even talking to his developers. Maybe there are no developers. Who knows? Maybe the Ethereum 2, which is the proof of stake, is a lot more complicated, and they need to start from square one. Now, if I were to launch a chain, I would say that forget the world's largest airdrop. It already happened on the Ethereum POW. Let's just forget this whole idea about copying the state. If people are worried about hacks not being on the new chain, well, you can airdrop the new hacks on the new chain just by looking at the hacks contract on Ethereum. It's actually very easy. It can be done in about 5 minutes. So nothing really needs to be copied state-wise. So I think this whole idea of giving free stuff or a copy of stuff you have on Ethereum seemed like an attractive idea for marketing. But ultimately, it has no value. And we see that, for example, USDC on Ethereum POW has no value. So why would it have value on Pulsechain? Perhaps he thought it would have value, but maybe he realized that it has no value, and therefore they're desperately trying to come up with new ideas in terms of what to do. Now, we do know that there's quite a bit of money in the sacrifice pools that were supposed to be used on Pulsechain and whatnot. However, with the news about the SEC, this makes it harder to do because that makes Pulse pretty much a security. In other words, Pulse was given to people who gave money to some wallet, and now this money will be used to generate more value. If that is the case, the SEC will have no problem ruling that Pulse is a security and was sold to the investors. So this whole sacrifice idea is not really true sacrifice. It's actually people are full of expectations and nobody's fooled that just because we call it a sacrifice, it really is an investment with the anticipation of profit. If SEC has engaged with Richard and told him, hey, if you do this, we don't even have to do much and to deem it a security, so you may as well just stop everything. And so that could be the situation. So I don't think he's lying. I think he's not saying certain things that are specifically personal and private to him. And I would say his hands are pretty much tied. Though I would say that if it was me, I would just say, hey, look, SEC is now has us on the radar. We have to do something else. So I would have said that, but he is not saying it, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. So it's a personal choice.
Do you think a good idea would be to abandon the sacrifice, just send everybody their funds back, and then just use Hex as the gas? Would that be SEC free?
That's what I would do.
Nice. That's what I told him to do in the first place, but okay. I'm satisfied now. Thanks for this answer, man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if the money is still there and there are any questions on whether this money has been collected by issuing an unregistered security that you're going to go to jail for, I would just say, okay, it was wrong. We had different ideas. We were misled. Whatever the excuse might be, and I would just send everybody the sacrifice money back, so to speak. And that's it.
It's all on chain. You can just send let me that's if you haven't spent it already, but that's what I would do too. I'll send everybody their USD. I would send everybody a USDC value back, or maybe their coins back if it's off like on Cardano or something, and just use Hex as the gas, man. Forget Pulse.
So
this guy.
I would say, like, with Richard's following, which is quite a lot of people, I think the team should be focusing on making Hex better by building on top of Hex and giving community things that they can actually use, rather than giving community the runaround and the absence of the roadmap and the promise of something that is not to come. So I think definitely the community probably deserves the build out of new interesting things. And you know how Richard keeps saying that he's like the richest whatever person in the world. Well, not really, but that he has a lot of money. I mean, why is he not using this potential that's supposed to be in his pocket to build new things?
Oh my God, man! I don't know. Maybe he's waiting for 11K, man, or 10K. That's what I'm hoping. Maybe he is just waiting. He's just bluffing with the code, just making himself seem stupid, just trying to FUD us all out, just shake us all out. I don't know anything about code. And then, 10K hits and then Pulsechain launches.
Well, Trayvon, Proof of Work had 420 lines of code. Proof of Stake has over 1 million. So I think it's fair to say he really might not understand that shit. And nor do I, of course. But when you're talking about 1 million lines of untested code and he was coming out hot with the 2 weeks, that's tough.
Well,
go ahead, Jack.
My thinking is, if this is really that complicated and you promise the blockchain to the community, just get the blockchain out. It doesn't need to have a copy. It doesn't need to be a fork. There's plenty of projects out there. You do not need to fork. You can just run it. You can port Hex to it. You can have community be happy. You can have your builders deploy all of the things that they have built on the Pulsechain testnet. Just go with that, and everybody will be very, very happy. And then return the Pulse money, I guess, and that will make people happy too.
Lately, I've been losing my direction. I know, 'cause I've been trapped inside this heart of mine. Oh, heart of mine.
Take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how.